All right, Leafs Talk, the penultimate episode. I'm JD Bunkis, Justin Bourne, Sam McKee. As always, you can follow on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at JT Bourne, at Sam A. McKee. What is there to even say? What is there even to say about this team? 19 years they wait to get out of the first round. They show up in the second. They get the opponent that they would have handpicked, probably had they done a draft out of all of their potential playoff performers. And the Toronto Maple Leafs show up in a must-win, do-or-die game and lay an absolute egg. Whoever wants to start, go ahead. I am sick for this franchise. I'm sick for this fan base. I'm sick for this city.
Justin, go ahead.
No, I get the vibes. This is a Leafs fan vibe. You guys seem very upset, and I feel like Sam should have this one.
I got to say, I'm just flat out disgusted. I really, really can't believe. Well, I shouldn't say I can't believe it. I should have believed it. You know, it's a game where it's a do or die game. It's a game 7 situation, right? Like it's the first like real winner go home situation that they've had so far in the playoffs, and they acted like it. It was just the big 4 with tight buttholes the whole game, not converting, not like, I mean, how many shots did Matthews even finish with tonight? Like, it's just a really, really, really upsetting performance in a do or die game for a franchise that had more momentum than they've had in 20 years. Their fan base was excited. Like you said, handpicked team. I really can't believe what I watched tonight. Like, I wasn't, you come to expect certain things watching this core, but I have to be honest, fellas, the reason it hurt so bad is because I just didn't expect it. I thought it was different, and it was the same old stuff. It just really was. It's really, really tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. I think that sums it up pretty nice. Booney, go ahead, share a thought.
Well, I guess it's such a take that like no one really wants to hear necessarily, but like they come out. I'm not saying I'm not going to come out here and say they played good. I'm not going to do that.
Thank God.
Well, you can't because they didn't. So
no, exactly. But they come out on the road against a good team, in their building. And I think they gave Florida 6 shots in the first period. Like my problem with them tonight is that nothing happened offensively. This is a team that's supposed to be built around their guys that break games open. Elite guys, game breakers, Nylander, Marner, Matthews. Those guys didn't do anything offensively. No sustained pressure, no rebound chances. I thought as a team, so if you're going to critique coaching, I thought the team was structurally good. Florida didn't have as much. Toronto had more ozone time, all that stuff. But the difference is supposed to be that you have that foundation, then your guys go do the thing. Their guys didn't go do the thing.
Bourne, all of us have been watching this sport our entire lives. And to say that the Leafs core 4 guys played without heart is an understatement for me tonight. Like you mentioned it, those 4 guys, this was the entire gambit of the franchise. This was Kyle Dubas's bet. The we can and we will era, right? 4 guys that will drive a team to success. These 4 guys are who you put the entire bet on. Those 4 guys have 0 goals in a playoff series against a Florida Panthers team that was 23rd in the NHL in the penalty kill, one of the worst teams in the NHL at keeping pucks out of their own net, and is fielding a defense core that a former NHLer told me the other day is borderline AHL. Like, this was disgraceful from them tonight. This wasn't like, oh, well, you know what? You got goalied. Oh, well, you got some bad luck. Oh, you were really around it tonight. This was just a pure and full choke job. And like, we can go through each and every one of those players. But to me, like, boy, oh boy, did the Mitch Marner of the Montreal Canadiens series sure show up tonight. Like, couldn't make a pass, couldn't control an exit, turning over pucks. Where was Matthews' legs? Like, did he burn out completely from having to play 24 minutes the night before or a couple of days ago? He's in the prime of his career and he's got no legs. I'm watching LeBron James at age 38 rip up and down a basketball floor every single night. He seems to be kind of fine. Like, what's the excuse here? What was John Tavares' impact on the game tonight exactly?
There is no excuse. There is no excuse. And it's the game starts and Matthews breaks in and he absolutely zips one off the crossbar. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. Like, here we go. And then that may have been his last meaningful contribution into the game. Like I can't believe I keep saying that. It's not, I can't believe it. They were so bad in this game. Like I really can't understand how everything that's riding on this in terms of like, they know the stakes with everything. They know the stakes with the coaching staff, with the front office, with the fans, with the team, with the history and everything. And they know the stakes, and you go into this game and you play like that. Like there was a time where I was wondering if they were going to have to bench Marner. Like I had that thought cross my mind. I'm like, can they keep sending him out there? Because the turnovers were not only like egregious, they were in the worst spots on the ice. At least, I don't know how many he ended up with tonight. I didn't look at the stats, but eye test wise, it had to be 6 or 7 good ones at least. And those 2 behind the net, the back pass one, I'm just like, I was flabbergasted by, how bad he looked through so many stretches of this game. It's really, really surprising with all the stuff that's riding on this game to look like that. And it just fits their narrative perfectly. It really, really does. And they got the first series. Like, and everyone, it's impossible. It's impossible not to think that they just rested on their laurels. And it's just a perfect encapsulation of this Leafs core, where it's like, oh, you had a couple good performances in a row, time to sit back. And they've done it over the whole time, the entire Matthews era, where they win a few games in a row and then they come out on a Tuesday night against the Panthers and they play like shit. And guess what? They did it again, except for 3 games in a series after they beat the Lightning. Like, it's unbelievable that we're sitting here having this conversation after last week, the momentum they had. Like, I'm sick about it.
What's so hard for me to analyze, and like I try really hard to objectively analyze hockey when I talk about it, and obviously we have a Leaf show, so I'm familiar with the ins and outs of this core. But what's hard to analyze is the absence of something. And for me, that's how their seasons have died out, is not, there've been the odd turnover. We talk about the Galchenyuk one, but like, it's generally just waiting for something to happen that never happens with this group. And so for me, it's not like, I bet you went through that game, Matthews blocked a lot of shots, turned a couple of pucks over in the D zone. I bet you we go through it and it's like, it wasn't awful. However, it's the absence of the greatness, that moment, that whatever, that in these sort of situations it's become a sample size large enough to say it's fair to critique.
Yeah, of course it is. And I like, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And you don't want to always do it. But ultimately, again, for 4 players of that caliber, 4 guys who have at one point in their careers all been considered, top 20 players in the game, which like I think is kind of fair considering Nylander scored 40 goals this season. For them to have 0 goals through 3 games, for them to play with such little force in a do or die game, like Sammy, you're right. It's like, it's that absence of something, but it's also been present all along, which is these guys don't have any jam. Like, they just don't have the guts that it takes to be great players in this game. And maybe they evolve into that at some point in their careers, and maybe some of them develop it, but like, they've tried every iteration of transplanting different guys around this core 4. And when it comes down to it, the same 4 guys do the exact same thing, which is no show in these massive moments. Like, how could you not just come out with your hair on fire? They had 2 days off. I was texting with some people like around the game being like, hey, what are you seeing tonight? What are you seeing tonight? The response I got back unanimously was, I thought they were going to come out with their hair on fire. Is that the way that you would describe the way they played tonight? A group with their hair on fire? Like, where's the level of pride for some of these guys to look across and say, hey, did you see that Leon Draisaitl had 4 goals last night? You see that the Oilers didn't want to go down 2-0 in a series, so their biggest stars just showed up and dominated? You look around the history of the game, what do you say about great teams? When their back's against the wall, you're going to get a desperate effort. How do you not get that from this team time and time again, and then look back at it and go, well, there was this process, and if you just keep, it's done. Like, they're done. Yeah. This core is completely done. You cannot look anybody in the eyes anymore and say that it should be like rolled back again because of talent. There's more to this game than just skill. There's more to life than just being good at something.
And you look at like Dubas, and he's got to be sick, right? Like, how many different iterations have the bottom 6 and different D-men and all the different stuff that he's mixed and matched. And he seemed to finally sort of find the bottom 6 mix here that are at least contributing in these games. You look at Lafferty scored a goal tonight, thought he was popping, thought Achari had a good playoffs, thought Ryan O'Reilly had some moments where he was really good for them. Like the bottom six has been good enough for them to win these playoff games. Like, if they were begging out for what they pay these four guys for tonight, all you needed, it was a 2-2 game for the entire third period. And all you needed was one of your incredibly high paid individuals to go out there and do what they're supposed to do. And it's not like it was game 2 where they're buzzing around the net. Like the amount of high danger chances in that third period, I don't know. I was watching with, my shirt in my mouth. I had to change my shirts because my shirt was soaked. But like, I don't know what the high danger situation was. It felt like they had nothing in that third period. And with what's on, like I tweeted before that period, so did you, Bunk. Like the amount of stuff on the line going into that third period, and for you to come out like that, I can't wrap my mind around it. And I feel like I'm just talking in circles, but I just cannot wrap my mind around your core guys looking like that in that massive of a moment. It's unfathomable. It's embarrassing. It's disgraceful. Like I'm disgusted.
They got
so going into this game tactically for Sheldon Keefe, one of the things that he would have wanted to change, you're trying to beat Florida's pre-pinch, right? The D come down the walls a lot. In the first period, they stretched everything. They went up the middle. They got 4 odd man rushes in the first period off that. They kind of had really exposed a weakness in Florida. And so for me, I was like, okay, like we're going to get chances. You're going to get to see Nylander streaking through the middle. It's open for them to make some hay. What ended up happening, I guess, is they tried all that stretch stuff, but they left them really disconnected. There's no support when they went long. They tipped pucks in. Florida got it back. They turned it over. Like I don't know if Florida made an adjustment on top of that or what happened, but it didn't seem connected offensively tonight. Both teams didn't have much. I mean, I think the final shots 25-23 or something. Pretty slow game for these two teams.
Yeah, they got those opportunities early, Bourne. They score a goal, and I'm asking Sis to put together stretch pass packages because you wrote about it in one of your articles this week, just how it was a vulnerability of Florida. And I thought, look at Bourne, like nailing another thing that's going to end up happening here. What'd they finish the first with? I want to say it was 4 shots. Like,
it was 4 shots.
They just
6-5.
Yeah, like 4 or 5 shots. Yeah, 4 shots on goal. 4, 9, 11. Like that was them throughout this game. Again, a team that is predicated entirely on game breakers. Matthews had one good really look in this game. I remember. Nylander made a great.
Marner had a touch of value tonight.
Yeah,
I can't name one real positive thing Marner did outside the penalty kill with the stick. It's just
Marner, Matthews, and Tavares all were -1 with 2 shots on net each, 0s across the board. Willie Nylander finished with a helper and so he got an assist on the Gustafsson goal.
Yeah, to kind of like add to your point, I thought that the depth players tonight were phenomenal. I thought that the blue line was really solid, like not a ton of mistakes. I thought that they killed a couple of cycles. They were hard on pucks. They were winning puck battles. You could tell that there was like a real urgency there, right? Like the lift they got from Lafferty and Kampf, especially, who like seemed like what have you been saying for forever is Toronto needs those support players to actually show up in a game.
And just have a random game where you're great, and they were.
And they really were. They get Gustafsson makes a big play in the game. Obviously, he's prone to make some mistakes, but he comes up with a huge moment. Another depth guy from your blue line. You got everything. Even the backup goaltender steps in.
I was going to say.
And you can't fault him for anything. You can't fault him for a single one of these goals. Like there's just not one excuse that you can point to with these guys. And that's why, to me, this is the defining game of the core four. Like everything that you ever had, if you were in the camp of defending these players or against these players, whatever it is, this is going to be the thing that you point back to and say, yeah, well, they had their moment. They had their opportunity. They talked this big ass game. Their coach was talking about how they're still confident, how they outplayed the team in the other game. They were going to go on the road. They were this excellent road team. They're going to have their fans, and they completely stunk it up, and they added nothing to the rest of their group that did show up. It just, again, it is disgraceful from those four.
And
so
you saw
no comeback then for you.
No,
they get the brooms out, baby. They're going into the They're going into the quit zone big time on Wednesday night. We have to wait till Wednesday to watch them quit in game 4. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It actually, you know what? That'll be more defining than this is what kind of effort do you get? What kind of belief is shown?
I can tell you exactly what they're going to get. Like, if you got this tonight, Bourne, what are you going to get Wednesday?
I don't think the team was as bad as you guys thought the team was tonight. I
No,
understand
4 guys were.
Yeah.
That's what this whole conversation is about. The rest of the team was solid. Right. Like the 4th line, I was like, put them out there in overtime. Get Camp over the boards. Get Lafferty over the boards. Kerfoot was playing well. Like every other person on the team was solid. Like truly. And it just came down to 4 guys not being able to not convert chances. Like there was the problem in game 2 to engage and drive play.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the zone time was tonight, but how much time did Marner and Matthews spend in the offensive zone? Like, I don't know how you look that up.
Zone time 5:30 to 4:50 for the game total team.
So, Bourne, to me, the thing is like there was this common talk on Raptors Twitter this year is if you looked at the Raptors advanced metrics, they were actually not so bad. They were viewed as like a middle of the pack, above average team, and that they had a bunch of bad luck, right? But what it really was, and our boy Blake Murphy did a very good job at this season end whenever people tried to put the packages together of what he dubbed like the fake comeback, where the Raptors would be able to be like, they'd be down a game 20 all game long. And then basically when the other team's kind of going to sleep and thinks they have it in hand, the Raptors would run up the score a little bit and make it seem closer than it is. And so I'm not as convinced as you, Sammy, that the Leafs are just going to pack it in and completely no-show the game. I actually kind of feel the other way about it, where they show the fake comeback. And to me, that's almost like more infuriating because it's going to rekindle some form of debate for some people that still have some belief in this core. But for me, I'm going to remember this moment. Like this one will be crystallized for me pretty significantly. Obviously, barring the Leafs actually winning 4 in a row. But God, the odds of that happening at this point, it's just, come on, let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
Even if they win a couple of games, right, and they look good doing it, and people try to make the argument of, well, they were the better team in game 1 and 2, and they got goalied, and then they just had one bad game. It's like, nah. You don't get to have one bad game with this core 4. And like Sammy and I are with you, dude. We get it. Like the team was good. Structurally, it was all right. They had depth players show up. The goaltending was okay. It's none of this stuff. The key question about the series was, do you keep the core players, right? And that's been it every single offseason is roll those guys back out there for the next year. Don't make some panicky decision where you trade a super talented player just for the sake of making a move. But at this point, like that's what I think happened tonight with those 4 guys. You had an opportunity, just like you've had year over year over year, to kind of keep the band together and prove that you're not what people think you are. And tonight they completely defined the worst case scenario about the 4 guys on this team.
So 2 thoughts, just, this is all pretty doom and gloom, fellas. My 2 thoughts are
just
completely. Yeah. I'm I don't know what you want from me.
Out the window here. Could injury affect your opinion?
No.
And could the fact that you both think that the depth in the team structure is going to affect your opinion of keeping the GM or coach?
I think so. I to be honest, Bourne, I really do think that this has now reached the point of scorched earth. Like,
close.
No kidding.
They get swept 100%.
Like you look at the way that, man, if it's going to be potentially what is on the line Wednesday night is one playoff series win that, let's be honest now, looking back on it, let's play this game now. They were not the better team. They were not. They ran into a goaltender that let in every single goal, and they won 3 road games in overtime.
If you're going to do the who's the better team game, it's going to hurt you looking back through their history, though.
But like in terms of them through playoff series?
Yeah, if you want to say, well, they were better than Montreal and they didn't win, so are we playing it matters if you were better or not, or does it matter if you win or not?
I'm saying that if you're going to look at this thing at a whole, the one playoff series that you won came against a team where their goaltender completely won in the pot and you won 3 games in overtime. Like, I'm just saying that has to be kind of looked at through the lens of this thing. Like, they had some real tight butt periods and some tight butt moments. And now if you're looking at the points of some of your stars, like from Marner, for example, who now has completely cooled off, you're going, sorry, how many points did he get in those blowout games? How much of what he was doing was 7-2 against Tampa Bay in game 2 of the series? Okay. I think that you show, I think you show yourself in important moments. And I do believe in character, and I do believe in jam, and I do believe in the intangibles in this sport. And at some point, to me, I'm looking at this and going, you're just wasting everybody's time if you try to roll this back and pretend that what we saw in this game like doesn't matter, or that the sample size of these massive moments doesn't count more than 25 regular season games when you're playing, a mediocre group of NHL teams that basically don't even care to be there.
Yeah. I think if you look back on that Tampa series, if you put Bobrovsky on Tampa, the Leafs lose in like 6 games or 5 games. Like Vasilevsky killed them looking back. Like I just was expecting, I was like, oh, the Leafs are doing a great job against Vasilevsky. And then you see a guy that's like hot and playing well. And it's like, oh, he's just like stopping those ones from the point every time. Like those ones aren't trickling through him every time. Like it just really feels like Florida just looks better. I don't know. Like it's crazy to say that, but like in game 2, they're obviously not the better team. But tonight, I just from the drop of the puck, I'm like, how are they gonna beat them? I'm like, yeah. I don't feel like, even I was prepared to come on here if the Leafs won this game in overtime. It's like, even if they won this game tonight, are they gonna beat them? Like they just are playing so much harder, so much more jam. Like all their guys are just, their top guys are just playing so much harder. I don't know how to explain it other than that. And maybe it sounds unfair, but it just seems that they are just an intense group that's hot and wants it. And the Leafs went into this probably thinking that they got lucky not getting Boston, and it completely flipped on them immediately.
Well, okay, just to point to the what's fair thing, right? Like, Bourne, I guess I would ask you that question back to you is like, what else do you need to see, I guess, to want change? Like what
I don't.
you want to see another year of it?
I haven't said a thing about not wanting change.
Oh, no. I know you're playing devil's advocate here. I'm asking you the question about like how you feel about this. Like what else, if you were sitting down in that room and they're coming to you and they're panning it over and they're going, hey, so are we overreacting here? Like, what is the case that you're making to say, well, I do think that there's X left to see with these guys?
Yeah. I think the hardest answers are like, well, Tavares at $11 million is not, he can't create at 5-on-5. So what are you going to do with that guy? He's got a no trade, clause. There's a pretty big issue and a lot of salary that's used up. So look around the room and say, how do we start with this before we do anything else? And then you would have to have a fundamentally deep conversation about the character of the people we're talking about, Matthews, Marner, and Nylander after that. Because I don't question John Tavares' will or effort. And frankly, I'm hesitant to do with anyone. Like Matthews not bad tonight. It's just, where are those moments? I don't know, man. If they would know so much more than us about off ice and habits and how they take care of themselves. They go down to Florida and party. Is anyone out at night? Like what? We don't know those sort of things. If you have off ice doubts, then it's a lot quicker to say, we got to move on. Their commitment isn't to hockey. If it is, boy, I wouldn't want to trade him to another team and all of a sudden watch him playing for, whoever, Colorado next year.
Yeah, there's always that fear, right? I would just say this. I don't think it's a matter of Marner doesn't care, or, John Tavares doesn't care.
Pretty strong implication here that they don't care, bud.
No. The implication isn't that they don't care. It's that there's something like, one is, I think what we saw from Marner tonight was just straight up choking again. Like we've seen that with him in the past where he's flipping pucks over the glass, everything. Like to me, it's just, there's two things with Marner that I think are very real that we've seen enough of in the playoffs. One is that he seems to tighten up in these moments, but also that just size does matter in these things. Like the playoffs do get more physical, and it's harder for a player like that to impose himself game to game, like for him to create the same amount of space that he normally does that we're used to in regular season games. It's just not there. Guys aren't willing to give you that extra step. They're not going to quit on a play the same way. So to me, it's just, how much space do you guys feel like Marner has in these series? How many times do you feel like, he's ripping a puck off somebody and then he's just dangerous where everyone looks like they're kind of caught flat-footed and he's paralyzing you with his vision and his playmaking? I haven't personally seen that in this series, and I've seen this go away in the past. I don't think the guy doesn't care. I just think that there are some limiting factors with his game. He's a bit of a choker. And with Matthews, yeah, I do think like, man, there were some moments in this game tonight, if you want to talk about character stuff, where I hated Matthews' body language. Like, you're the leader of the team. You're supposed to be the alpha, the guy that people look at and say, man, we should win because we have this guy on our team. And look on the bench so many times, just not talking to anybody, staring forward. I know he wore that one puck and he's hunched over and he's not looking too comfortable, but where was the moment in this game tonight where Matthews showed just some anger and was yelling at a teammate and telling them to just kind of get engaged? So again, I don't think it's like a I don't care thing. I just think some guys have that inert fire and some guys on this team might not be able to string that together night in, night out. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the first round, Marner was pretty dynamic. Like, there's no question. They won his minutes handily in the first round. Like, he was really, really good, like, goal share wise throughout the full first series. But, like, this is the playoffs, and the goal is to not win one playoff series. It's to win two. And when the games have gotten more important and bigger, he's been baggled. Like, he hasn't been here at all. So I think, like, I obviously am not questioning their caring. Like, that's not what I'm doing. I just think that, like, yeah, some guys are rise to the occasion. Like, look at what Leon Draisaitl's doing, and everyone kind of kills him, myself included, for like defensive stuff. And, there's the conversations about him being better than Matthews and Leaf fans defending it or whatever. Every big game that guy plays in, he scores 2 goals. He scores a hat trick. He scores 4 goals. They go down to Vegas. They need a game. They get it
last year.
Like it's just, there's certain guys that have it and just have the ability to elevate their game in big games. And I think it's pretty clear here, now that the games have gotten even bigger than the first round of the playoffs, that they're going away again. And it's just, like, I don't know how else to say it other than that. Like, I just really believe that Leaf fans have been blessed, and you're so excited to have this core of incredible 4 guys that you've never had in the team's history. And the curse of it is that none of them like have the killer instinct. None of them want to cut someone's head off to win a game. None of them have had that ever. And like, you're so right about Matthews' body language. Like, McDavid is yelling at guys, and think about what McKinnon's like if they're losing a game, or think about what Sid is like if they're losing a game, or Gino. Like, they want to, slash somebody's face. Like, they're so pissed off they're losing. It just doesn't look the same with this core 4. And it breaks my heart.
And Bourne,
it's fascinating because we've talked about the taping grit to the core thing before versus having it within the players who play, and you're getting some answers. And the grit always sort of defers more to the core. Like, the grit that comes in, sure, like Shen beat the crap out of Janot, but like, he's on his island by himself. But like, it always feels like there's never any like melees in these games, because it kind of feels like grit guys they bring in don't know that these guys don't want to get into it. Like, Matthews didn't even want to play with Bunting anymore because he was afraid of all these scrums all the time. Like, it's just, it's a blessing and a curse with the Toronto Maple Leafs that we were given the 4 best, maybe most talented players in the franchise's history, and none of them have any killer instinct.
But like, beyond that, okay, like, and I know that we're doing intangible stuff here, but Bourne, like, when you're saying Matthews wasn't that bad tonight, right? Like, what's the bar for a great player? Because he had 2 shots on goal, and he's a guy that's a 60 goal scorer in the league. Like, I do think that's bad. Like, I don't know if the bar is not, you were bad, like you got some block shots in a playoff game because you played a bunch of minutes and like you were defensively, structurally sound. Like, okay, that's great. That's what Noel Achari's here for. That's what David Camp is here for. For a superstar player of his caliber to have 2 shots in a must-win game on the road, like against this team.
We literally just did this. That was the absence of something conversation we already had.
Yeah, but I just don't know how that's not like bad. Like, that to me is
really bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah, that to me is just quite frighteningly awful.
We have established bad.
Ugh,
bad. They are bad.
I'm really hurt for the fan base that got to celebrate this, monkey off the back thing, that after 19 seasons, it was just, Sammy, you and I went out that night and just seeing people in the streets celebrating it and everyone wearing their jerseys and just feeling like they don't have to be the butt of a joke for 1 second, right? Like, and then you roll into the very next week.
That was a week ago.
1 week. And it's just completely back to the same hell you've always been in, which is questioning the jam of the group. What's going to happen during the off season?
Never be free.
Why can't you just get over this hump? Like, it is just, it's backbreaking from the standpoint of looking at people who care about this team the way that they do. Like, I empathize with Leaf fans so much. And I know that people love to clown on them because they get a lot of attention, but Leaf fans have had nothing for 2 decades. Like, they got 1 playoff series win and all this torture, and people dunk on them like nonstop because they like to try to have belief in their team. And it's like, God, they just get sucker punched again. I texted you guys, being a Leaf fan that spent money to go down to that game and sat in that arena surrounded by pretty good Panthers fans. Good for them. They showed up. You don't think so?
Sick.
I thought that they had
sick. You can show up for 2 weeks all year. Good for you. You schedule your Leafs game every year for March 29th for the March break so you can fill your stupid building. And then the playoffs come around. They're like, no tickets for you guys who keep us afloat. Yeah, they were fine. They were pretty quiet in a 2-2 game in the third period. And they're all sitting there. They're like, what sport is this? What's an offside? Like, they don't care. Like, guess what? I'll tell you right now, if the Panthers were down 3-0 in a series, I bet you old Cats talk wouldn't be getting many views. They'd be at the bar. They wouldn't care. Like, they don't care. That's what kills me. The Leafs are losing to a franchise that just, like, the level of caring for between these fan bases. It's like the Panthers lose this game in 4 games. Like, does it make sports radio in Sunrise? Like, they're like, F1 was there, the Heat are hot, off season, I don't know, is there a draft that's going to happen in like college or something? Like, the level of care between these 2 fan bases. And like you said, all those people fly down there, they spend all this money, and you go down there and that's the performance. Like, I would never recover from that. Like, I would truly, like, I've been broken a lot of
from this.
Nah, I'll recover. Like, I mean, that's what I always do. I've been a Leaf fan my whole life, Borny. Like, like the real,
at least the hedge is working out.
Oh yeah. I am rich. But the real scary thing here for Leaf fans is that you waited so long, and I'm talking about the core 4 again. You waited so long to have this kind of talented players. Like, I remember the conversations I used to have with my dad being like, the Leafs could just get a center behind Sundin, or the Leafs could, like, in the crappy years through the 2000s, the Leafs could just get a number 1 center. And like, they've been blessed with all this incredible talent. And I said to myself at the start of this like run 7 years ago, I'm like, if these guys don't get it done, what happens next? And it's like, it's 7 years and they've had 1 playoff series. And it's like, now what? The general manager doesn't have a contract. 2 of your biggest players who have not performed in big games are up for contracts this summer. Your coach is now like under the spotlight. It's just like, you've gotten nothing. And it's heading towards nothing town, fellas. Like, it's terrifying. This isn't 2 years. This is 7 or 8 years now of this. It's crazy.
You think the Flyers would trade the number 1 pick when they get it tomorrow for all of the guys you're mad at today?
I think they would. I mean, you want to have that conversation, Borny? I'm ready. Like,
I'm not in the right headspace for that conversation because
I am. Let's have it.
Why you don't do things with no sleep, but I'd be like, deal right away.
Done deal.
You guys never see that dating show where the person has to press the button and it's like the person that presses it first is saying no to the other person, like, get out? That would be me just ramming that button the second like an ugly person sat down is me for the Connor Bedard trade. Just, yeah, I'll do that. I'll start. I'll like to start again with Connor Bedard, fresh slate. See you later, guys. All your bags are packed. Honestly, the way that Tavares has played in this series, it would almost be worth it to trade one of those guys to get off the contract. Like, it's just, it's so ridiculously bad what you're seeing from the guy every night. Okay, so let's try to get this back on the rails to a certain degree. I will say that I know that's what people want tonight is the bit of the bloodletting. I know that's what I want. I cannot imagine sugarcoating this loss in any way.
I can't. I have nothing good. Like, I can't be like I'm a Leaf fan. I've been my whole life is like they've given me this platform because I'm a passionate person. I'm not going to come on here and give you one positive thing. Is there any Leaf fan in any bar or any living room or any place around that arena that's leaving there and being like, I thought Matthews blocked a couple shots tonight. That was great.
No,
it's all bad. I'm sad, devastated. And everyone that's watching this show, if you're a Leaf fan, you're devastated. If you're not a Leaf fan, you're drinking up my tears. And I'm sick for my brethren because we're just going to take a goddamn beating for so many weeks here. Like it's beating time. It's beating time.
The 67 chant is going to start to get so long that you're going to be like 1967.
Yeah, I was grasping at straws tonight. Chris Cuthbert's like, Joseph Woll has a chance to win the first game in relief since Terry Sawchuk in 1967. I'm like, oh, maybe this is the sign. Reinhart, bonk. Oh, great. It's not the sign. We still suck. Leafs suck, and then you die.
So that's my one positive tonight is that I really like Joe Woll. Like I thought he came in, he bit as hard as you can possibly bite on the Duclair goal, but that's one hell of a move. And it's not on him.
He's good at that move.
Yeah, that's an incredible move. And like, what are you supposed to say? The guy comes in ice cold on a power play. And Bourne, can you tell me what the hell happened on this play? Like what is supposed to happen? Because I know a breakaway is not supposed to happen. Can we roll that, sis?
Yeah, both Justin Hall and Jake McKee have to have their sticks to the inside, and Hall gets a real head start in the outside lane where he seems to think the puck is going. So he's outside the dots. McCabe is kind of drifting to the other lane. They need to both have their sticks in the middle of the ice is essentially all it'll take, and the D-man won't even try to make the pass. I don't know if we got the back angle, probably not, but let's see here. They're just both Hall there, cuts to the outside. Duclair's fast, but that player's there on every single power play. It's there. You never see that pass because it should never be there.
Yeah. I just assume it's like both defensemen's fault, but I guess maybe that's just a little bit more Hall. That's a tough one. And then there's just a deflected goal that goes in on the kid. And then the last one, he's a little lost, but again, it's just, you give up opportunities in your own end for a team to cycle. And a guy like Reinhart is going to just great move by Reinhart on the overtime goal. Just, really just a quick play, scores it. I guess my takeaway with this is, well, one is I know this is stupid, but the series isn't over yet. I'm rolling back with Woll next game. I don't know what Samsonov's injury is. I know he's been playing with one, but to me, I'm turning the page here and I'm using this as actual information moving forward. Like I need a spark if I'm Toronto. If I need to win 4 in a row,
I agree.
I need a spark. And I'm saying the kid gets the net moving forward. It is what it is. Samsonov, you've obviously been playing through something. He got smoked on that play by Shen, which is generated again off of a turnover by the Leafs, a soft play by Austin Matthews, who just doesn't get a puck in deep. And because he's got so much heart and he cares so much and he's just caring all the way. And that's why he's just caring to get the puck in deep. But it goes back the other way and his goaltender gets absolutely shattered on the play. And Samsonov limps off. But I just thought Woll was quality, man. I felt good with him in the net. There was only like 1 or 2 moments where he looked jittery. He settled in. I'm rolling with him the rest of the way, if that's 1 game or 4.
I do have a positive. And now that we're looking to next season, that's going to be great. He's a good goalie. I think the Leafs actually might have drafted a goalie that can play for them in the regular season and maybe in the playoffs next year.
As next season chats go, Sammy, Matt Murray's available. He's fine. He's been available this whole time, and they've chosen to have Woll on the bench. So you got another year left of his deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was going to ask you guys that. I was going to ask you, is there any reality that you get that desperate where you just go, we're putting him in the net?
Well, no time like the present.
Is that a McKee 0? No. No chance. None. None at all.
I thought about because when they went, he's ready. I thought, I wonder how long he's been ready because it was a concussion last one, right? I can't remember because he had 5 different injuries this season. Yes. They were all different spots, but I did have that thought of, hey, if Woll wasn't great tonight, what would happen? But I think Woll was good enough to justify keeping it. And
I thought he is. I don't think he's athletic and has, got the pedigree of Samsonov, but he's quiet in the net. He's really
not
quiet.
Lunging all over the place.
The puck hits him. He's very fundamental and square and
Mike
quiet. in
McKenna
there.
likes him, so I do.
Yeah, I mean, Mike McKenna said he should have been starting the whole time, which is a wild take. But
It's a small sample, but he actually had the best fancy stats of every Leafs goalie.
Yeah. He's a good goalie, and that's one positive from this is when I start next season and torture myself for a full 6 months, which I can't wait for, and talk about the regular season for a full year, and it doesn't matter at all. I'll be like, oh, Wall's a fun storyline we can talk about.
It's going to matter when they have 8 new players and a new coach.
These pointless games, for these pointless games that don't matter before they lose to a worse team in the playoffs when none of their stars show up. It'll be great to talk about Wall. Can't wait.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, though. Is it genuinely to me?
Oh, Ryan
is that was okay. If we were going to power rank most confusing, I cannot believe it plays of the game. Ryan O'Reilly passing a puck back into his own zone on the tape of the Panthers' best player. That was the number one thing I would have drafted in the "this will never happen" draft.
If you had to watch that one go in with 4 minutes left and that was the game winner, I mean, I don't even think we could have held Leafs talk tonight. You couldn't handle it, Sam.
I have to say that was rather audacious by Mr. Bennett, but I liked it. Good move. Yeah. Had the whole top of the net open. If he gets any elevation, like that would have been. I mean, there's a couple things that it would have. Like, I mean, the Leafs lost, and they're going home on Wednesday. But the thing that there's a couple things that really twisted the knife. If Sam Bennett, who probably should have been suspended for this game, goes in and scores a between the legs Marek Malik game-winning goal with 4 minutes left, that would have been pretty sweet. And I'm sure, like, I'm not saying this because I don't really think that the Leafs played hard enough to get any penalties called on them tonight. But Wes McCauley being the ref when they have their first ever playoff game with no power plays is incredible playoff lore. Yeah. That's just incredible playoff.
We all agree, though, there was nothing really missed or anything.
Nothing. It was absolutely nothing. If anything, the Leafs got away with 3 or 4 egregious ones in the final minutes of the period. Gustafsson hooked onto somebody. There was a pretty clear trip. Like, I really hope that no Leaf fan comes close to grasping at that straw is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. It was the next topic I was going to bring up. Any issues with the fact that they didn't get any power plays? But to me, this just gets back to the same thing. That's the theme of the game, which is your stars are supposed to impose themselves on the game and drive play and force a team like the Panthers to be hemmed 100%. In. Like you're supposed to basically cycle the puck a bunch and cause them to make a desperate play because you got a Mark Stahl type who's on his last leg.
Pull you down by playing in his own end.
Exactly. Make an infraction.
Yeah.
Make them chop you down. Cycle the puck. Do a couple turnbacks. Get the puck down low. Get along the boards.
Something. The only chance that the Leafs had at drawing a penalty tonight was Bunting flailing around. He was fullback to like the Bunting.
My God.
He gave you 2 good games of
I enjoyed 58 tonight.
2 or 3 games of good Michael Bunting, and then 58 was just back to his old tricks tonight. Just like stay on your skates for maybe 35 seconds when a puck goes into a corner, please. He was a full flop fest. Yeah. Like we'll do the post-mortem completely when they're actually out of it, but
I'll do it.
No, but I don't want to do it.
Oh, still, Sam. You can't bury an alive body.
Yeah, I know. Sam is hitting the Leafs in the head with a shovel as he buries them in a shallow grave.
Pillow smother from McKee.
He's just like, please be quiet. Please go away. Sam,
I am sour. Sour. You capital S.
Clearly established that during the show, man. I don't think anyone is confused about the wavelength that you're on.
Good.
We're trying desperately to get the show like halfway back on the rails here, like just flailing at you. But yeah, the interesting thing I think in Game 4 is, do you go back to 11-7?
I don't know, man. Listen, I love a lot of the things Gustafsson did with the hockey puck tonight. You can't put him on the ice. It goes the other way, just as fast, if not worse. He's terrifying.
He made a pass in his own end. In a 2-2 hockey game.
I know the exact
one.
He
collected the puck along the boards, clearly has room to skate it out, and throws an absolute grenade into the skates of, I think it was Luke Schenn, and just to a non-puck handling defenseman, rifled one in there, turns into a turnover. That's probably the moment of the playoffs where I went the most just please don't ever show your face here again. This is so inexcusable for him to make that play. You're right. The only thing is, Borny, if I was going to say when did the Leafs feel the most threatening tonight, is when he has the puck on his stick with some space at the point.
Yeah. Oh, and he made that little slip to Nylander before Nylander completely gooned up a 2-on-1, tried to pass it to Tavares. He made the goal fake was awesome. He did some great stuff with it. He also, they won the drawback to him twice where he completely just I don't know what, exploded on him. And all of a sudden he's chasing the play. It's like, are you amazing or awful? I have no clue after watching.
You nailed it when we were in our group chat. His nickname should be Mr. High Event because it's happening when he's out there, boys. It's
someone getting a chance. You just don't know who.
Dude, it's like at the top of the league, it's the guys you have to watch when they're on the ice. McDavid 1, and then it's like Gustafsson is 2. Like Gustafsson slots in right behind McDavid, and like something crazy is about. Hockey fans, settle in. You're about to see something happen. The other issue I have with the 11-on-7, and I'll just admit is this one is harder to quantify, but this is sort of where the tinkering gets to a point where you go, you know what, it would be nice to maybe have a little bit of reliability amongst your lines. It just, you're searching for it. It felt desperate all night. And to me anyways, this is just my perspective. Early on in the game, especially, they reminded me of a football team that scripts their first series on offense, where like the coach goes in and says, we've got all the plays scripted, and they go down, they score a touchdown. And then the rest of the defense makes the adjustments. And then the coach sits down and goes, okay, like now we're going to let our quarterback call plays. But your quarterback is Jared Goff. And all of a sudden he starts throwing interceptions. And it just felt like the Leafs never really had anything outside of the Camp Lafferty pairing that was just consistent throughout that game. And I had to at least think about and bring this up of how much of an effect do you guys think this was of just constantly having things in a blender and guys sitting there on the bench going like, I wondered what that bench looks like during a game like this, where like you're just
played 7 minutes.
Yeah. You're just sitting there staring at Keefe going like what, he's like, go, now you. It just, it felt all over the place. It felt, how many times was like an actual same line out there for maybe 3 rotations? It was nuts.
It was chaotic. That's the best way I can say it. It's just, it felt really, like you said, it's just a lack of consistency.
They missed 23 though, Sam. How quickly did they miss knives? That Achari Orion O'Reilly line is missing the one piece to give it a spark.
Yeah, that I looking back on takes from this week that all of a sudden became incredibly relevant. But Kipper talking about how like they're way too dependent on this guy, and I was like, oh, what are you talking about? And that's like the first game he's out. I'm like, oh my god, he is by far their best left winger. Like he's the only guy on the left. He's the only guy on the left side that has any offensive impact. Like Bunting, sure, but like Bunting can't carry the puck. Bunting can't do the dangles that he does. Can't work on the half wall like guys can. Like it's just like, wow, he is incredibly important to this team.
Spin zone for him being out is he's not getting the loser juice on him. Like he doesn't have to be in that dressing room for all the loser ooze that is just
build around him.
That's clearly it's just very clear that he's a big part of this future, and at least he doesn't have to sit around there where those guys do their probably little swarmy press conference where they go, we thought we did some good things tonight, but we didn't get the bounces, but have to be better and then roll it in the next game. Good job, fellas. No,
Austin Matthews.
Go ahead.
It's do or die.
Yeah.
That's from Luke Fox on Twitter. It's do or die.
That was Chat GPT, Austin Matthews.
Hey, type in the style of choker. Thank you.
Yeah. The do or die is pretty extreme considering.
It'd be a tough lot if they come back and win the cup this year.
Let it be the one that lit a fire under their ass.
Yeah. The thing about them winning 4 in a row at this point is like, what's the thing right now that you're seeing from them that you just believe is going to be their next game?
I don't think Florida's very good.
But that even makes it more infuriating is that I don't watch this Panthers team ever and go, wow, these guys are just incredible. They just have some tenacious forwards that are pretty nasty on the forecheck. And then they just seem to have what Toronto hasn't, which is guys who are finishing some big, like Verhaeghe, where they go, look at all these game-winning goals he has. It seems to translate to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're content to kind of wait for their chances, then go. They do have some urgency for sure.
But I didn't feel like Bobrovsky was really pressed tonight. Can you guys think of like 3 awesome Bobrovsky saves?
No, this is their worst game of the series by a good distance.
Yeah, there was pretty much a real nothing. Anyway, God, I can look through my rapid fire, but I really don't want to just crush more guys because I'm just pretty much mad about everything. God, I will say though that defensively, I really did like a lot of what they were doing tonight. Like some depth guys just winning some puck battles in their own end, closing some gaps well.
Yeah.
Again, they got everything from everyone in the lineup except for the most important 4 guys. Ugh.
Story of the game, sir. We could have been 5 minutes and done just what you just said.
Yeah. Basically, that's what this should have been tonight is, hey, does anybody want to say anything nice about the top 4 guys? And Bourne would have been like,
work through it. You got to work through it. That's good. You guys, this is cathartic for people.
I feel way better.
I feel way worse. Like, because it just, now the therapy thing is over where you get to yell and be upset. And now you just got to go sit in it. And that's the worst part is sitting in it,
at least
waiting
there's
for
3 days till the next game. That's good. I look forward to 3 radio shows this week. That's great.
I'm really looking forward to Succession. I'm going to go watch Succession with Allie, which I'm going to just turn my phone off and just enjoy that. So looking forward to that.
I'll be staring through Succession tonight, straight up, just thinking about what Bourne said, where there's 3 straight radio shows of the content. So it's basically like you've got to do tomorrow, some what the hell happened and what moves forward. And then you try to spin some stuff moving. Like, you guys know me. I'm pretty much a narrative. This is what I make my bones in is I can craft narratives. I can make a story. I'm staring forward to the next couple of days going, I might just be doing some Blue Jays. LeBron, Steph Curry.
Guess what? Jays are back on track, baby. Yeah. We're back. Jays 3 in a row after getting swept. We're back.
Yeah, boy.
Go Blue Jays.
Just took a peek at my phone, and it is it's a lot of messages that are not getting text back tonight. I can just tell you that. Tonight is not the night for the replies. Tonight is basically just mute and goodbye. Okay, so anything else from this game, or are we going to wrap up?
God, wrap it up.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry for all you wonderful Leaf fans that trekked to Florida. I'm just sick for you. You just have to go back to your hotel room, or you can go to a nice beach bar and cry in your Mai Tai because that's tough.
I actually feel the least. I feel the least sorry for them, which is, you know what though? I'm with Bourne where I'm so unimpressed by Florida that if you were ever, and this would be the most perfect, this is the pain of being, someone who cares about the Leafs is I've already finished the show going like, you know what? Now everyone's going to say everything bad about them and they're going to come out like a house on fire. They're going to win one road game, then they're back at home. What's the odds they're going to lose every home game to Florida? None. So then it's 3-2, and now you're on the road with all the pressure on Florida. Like I've already written the script in my head, fellas. Like I'm ready to believe again already. Down 3-0. Like
Sam's not purchasing your script. He's not buying tickets.
I'm a movie. Yeah, if I'm like a head of a movie, I'm like, yeah, that's getting thrown out. I'll be like, yeah, it's a decent script. I'll read that one later.
Fantastical.
Yeah.
Even with the writers on strike, Sam's like, I'm not accepting this script. All right, we can find someone else. Again, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at JD Bunkis, at Sam A. McKee, at JT Bourne. Reach out anytime, please. Hit the thumbs up on the YouTube channel because it does help us. Same with subscribing to the podcast. We don't know how many episodes it'll be, but it'll be back next year, we hope. We hope that along with all the firings, it doesn't include us. It's just everybody goes. They do a clean sweep through media. They're like, you know what? This is actually bad enough where we've just decided to shut everything
I think
down.
it might be time for me to move to a hut anyway and never watch this team again.
Live in a yurt.
It's hut time.
Well, I made a promise to go live in the woods for the rest of my life if the Leafs blew 3-1 to Montreal, and I already lied about that, so I can't make the hut promise again. Like I already made the hut in the woods promise. And again, you can share it. Don't be a vulture. We appreciate it always. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And yes, I'm sorry, Leafs fans, that you have to keep enduring this. My God.